The tale begins with a hooded figure perched on a castle rooftop, biding his time until the lights go out so he can slip in and eliminate his target. Just before he leaps, he senses a presence behind him and turns to see a young boy with black hair on one of the towers, watching intently from a distance. A chill runs down the hooded man's spine. He suspects this boy might be another hitman like himself. But upon closer inspection, he realizes this is the legendary silent assassin, renowned for his extraordinary skills. The hooded man understands escape is futile and he must fight. He quickly dashes for a better angle and hurls sharpened metal spikes at the assassin. Unfortunately for him, the boy is lightning fast, dodging the attack with ease and charging straight at the hooded man. The man unsheathes his dagger, aiming for a decisive thrust, but the black-haired boy blocks and deflects the strike in the blink of an eye. They engage in a fierce back and forth on the rooftop until the boy expertly disarms his opponent. The hitman, however, isn't ready to surrender just yet. He throws another barrage of spikes, which the assassin nimbly evades. This creates an opening for the hooded man to strike, but the boy anticipated this move, slipping past the attack to appear behind him. Desperation sets in for the hitman as he realizes the vast power gap between them. He unleashes everything he has left, but the boy remains composed, blocking every slash and strike, even deflecting the hidden blade from his shoe. Out of options, the hitman finds himself at the mercy of the assassin, who stabs him in the arm before shattering his legs, leaving him crumpled on the ground. In disbelief at how easily he was defeated, the hitman accepts his fate as a sword falls from the sky, ending his suffering. With his rival out of the way, the assassin enters the room of his target, who sleeps peacefully, unaware of the impending danger. Resolute, he raises his dagger, ready to complete his mission. Not long ago, this deadly assassin was just a lonely teenager named Akira from Japan, navigating high school and finding solace in reading manga on his phone. Most of his classmates overlooked him, but one fateful day, a rift in reality transports him and his classmates to a foreign world, landing them in the midst of a court. Confusion reigns as they grapple with whether this is a dream or a prank, until an old mage arrives, informing them that the royal majesty wishes to speak with them. None of the students can comprehend the situation. While some think it's a costume party, the king enters with the princess, welcoming them to a new world summoned by a special magic ritual. The king gets straight to the point, explaining that he rules the largest human kingdom currently under threat from demons. Only a hero from another world possesses the power to defeat the demon lord, otherwise they face certain doom. The mage steps forward, stating they need to identify the hero, and instructs everyone to place their hands on a magic crystal, one by one. Eager, one boy goes first, revealing his status as merely an animal trainer. Disappointed, he's reassured by the mage that his stats are still impressive. As each student learns their class, some become mages, others knights or healers, Akira notices something peculiar. While everyone else has starting stats of 180, his as an assassin are a staggering 1,800. Next, a boy named Soto approaches the crystal and is revealed to be the hero, boasting starting stats of 1,000. The mage congratulates him, explaining that every other student's stats are capped at 500, but as a hero, his are double. This raises questions about Akira's stats, nearly twice that of the hero. Cheers erupt for Soto, the class's most popular student, while a classmate nudges Akira to reveal his stats. Akira contemplates the situation, realizing it's unwise to disclose such an extraordinary number without more information. After everyone's stats are sorted and the hero identified, the old mage announces they'll receive weapons and gear according to their classes and sends them off to their rooms for the night. On his way back, Akira spots a hidden camera, indicating they're being monitored, which raises his suspicions. Deciding to use his concealed presence ability, he slips past unnoticed. Once in his room, he changes into more suitable attire and steps out onto the balcony, absorbing the reality of being in another world. He resolves to gather more information, and with a few agile jumps, scales the castle wall effortlessly, marveling at his extraordinary abilities. Suddenly, he spots an open window and stealthily enters the king's work chamber, overhearing the king question the princess about their plans. She informs him that the newcomers lack any significant magical abilities. The king instructs her to keep an eye on them before returning to his work. With his concealed presence ability, Akira remains virtually invisible, contemplating the ease with which he could eliminate the king, but ultimately deciding against it. The next morning, Akira joins his classmates at breakfast, who seem blissfully unaware of the dangers ahead. Soto stands up, delivering a cringeworthy speech about how they're all stronger now and should help the people of this world against the demon lords, as instructed by the king. Everyone enthusiastically agrees to this foolish plan, while Akira ponders whether to reveal his findings, aware that his classmates are naively trusting the king and princess. After breakfast, they gather in the training ground, where the Lord Commander of the Royal Army, Sarin, introduces himself and offers to train them for a month before they tackle a dungeon to test their skills. While Soto rallies the group, Akira remains concealed, silently observing. He decides to gather more information on his own, but is surprised when Sarin follows him, handing the class to his lieutenant, Gil. Akira wonders if his concealment ability has worn off, or if it has a maximum duration. Sarin, however, smiles and reassures him that his abilities are functioning perfectly, revealing he has mystical eyesight that allows him to detect temperature differences, essentially making him a living thermal camera. Tension rises for Akira, who instinctively places his hand on his blade, questioning if trouble is brewing. Sarin calms him, claiming he has no intention of exposing him to the king or princess. Still skeptical, Akira asks whose side he's really on. Sarin replies that the situation is more complicated than it appears. Recognizing Sarin's honesty, Akira relaxes slightly and expresses his desire to visit the library for more knowledge. When Sarin inquires about the level of his concealment ability, Akira admits it's maxed out, which surprises Sarin, while his other abilities remain at level 1, leaving him clueless on how to improve. Sarin offers to help him, suggesting he won't find what he seeks in the library anyway. Akira is left wondering how much he can truly trust him.
Akira can't help but feel excited at the thought of becoming stronger. He keeps his emotions in check and asks Sarin how he can return home. Sarin admits he has no idea, but emphasizes that Akira needs to grow stronger to stay alive and find a way back. Akira mentions he doesn't like accepting help without giving something in return, to which Sarin suggests that Akira could share more about his world. This idea resonates with Akira, leading him to shake hands with Sarin, the first person he decides to trust in this new realm. As time passes, Akira learns about various races, such as beast people and elves, each residing on their own continents. He diligently trains both physically and mentally, believing that this is the only way to enhance his skills. Meanwhile, his class trains under the guidance of Sarin. One evening, Akira discovers a book he suspects is authored by the Lord Commander. Sarin takes the book, revealing it to be a disguised plan to overthrow the king. He explains that the king is a broken man who might take drastic actions to change the world, and Sarin feels compelled to stop him, despite being the Royal Knight's commander tasked with protecting the king. Akira understands Sarin's dilemma and confesses he had the chance to kill the king the night they were summoned, but couldn't bring himself to do it. Sarin reassures him that he made the right choice. Being an assassin doesn't mean he has to take lives. A month goes by, and the heroes prepare to enter the dungeons, receiving a warm welcome from the city. However, Akira notices a hooded girl glaring at them. Using his skills, he sneaks up on her and inquires about her hostility. She responds that while the city celebrates them as heroes, she knows the true cost of their summoning. Akira admits he knows nothing about any sacrifice, and she tells him to figure it out for himself before walking away. As they enter the dungeon, monsters emerge from every corner, and every stone appears to be a trapdoor. The students look exhausted, and as Akira fights off attackers, he asks Sarin if they should retreat. Sarin thinks they've done well for the day, and uses his divine skill to clear a path. Gil instructs everyone to run toward the exit, but they find themselves still underground, surrounded by monsters. Just then, Sauter remembers the smoke bomb the princess gave them, believing it will fend off the monsters. He throws it, but to his dismay, a minotaur emerges from the smoke. Gil is shocked to see a minotaur on the upper floor when they should be much deeper. Akira jumps into action, dodging the creature's blow and stabbing it in the head, only to have his dagger shatter. Sato, too weak to fight, is told by Akira to stay back since he's meant to be the hero defeating the Demon Lord. Commander Sarin arrives and realizes the severity of their situation. Akira urges him to use his special ability and leave the rest to him. Sarin hesitates, but seeing Akira's determination, casts the spell. A massive lightning bolt strikes the Minotaur. As Akira positions himself to strike, he activates his shadow magic, sending dark spikes toward the creature. The Minotaur struggles against Sarin's lightning, but soon breaks free and targets Akira only to be pierced by the dark spikes. Akira drives more spikes into its body and, confident it can't escape, begins pulling it into a dark abyss below. The Minotaur is swallowed by the void, its head uprooted just before it disappears. Everyone is stunned by Akira's victory over such a formidable foe. Suddenly, Akira's powers spiral out of control, causing panic among the group. He struggles to retract the shadow spikes, but Sarin steps in to help him regain control, allowing Akira to deactivate his magic. Feeling fortunate to be alive, Sarin commends him for exceeding expectations that day. Once they return from the dungeon, Sarin thanks him for saving everyone, though Akira insists he couldn't have done it without Sarin's support. Sarin mentions that it's the first time he's heard of Akira's shadow magic, and warns him to be cautious with it in the future. He then gifts Akira a samurai sword forged by the first hero. Curious, Akira asks why Sarin doesn't give it to the current hero instead. Sarin explains that Sato already has the holy sword, but more importantly, he stole this one from the royal treasury, and giving it to the foolish hero would lead to his arrest. Akira accepts the sword and notices inscriptions near the hilt, one reading, Yato no Kami, and another wishing that the sword guide its successor in times of trouble. He expresses a desire to meet the first hero. Remembering the curse on Sato, Akira senses something is amiss, and Sarin theorizes that the princess is behind it, attempting to turn Sato into her puppet through dark magic. Arriving just in time, Akira destroys the magic crystal the princess uses for the ritual. Enraged, she questions his audacity to enter her room without permission. Akira, sword drawn, retorts that a witch who curses others is not deserving of respect. He demands to know her motives, and she claims it's all for the king. When Akira asks why she obeys him, the princess repeats her statement with lifeless eyes, prompting Akira to leave. He realizes she has more crystals intended to curse the rest of the students. Later, Akira brings the crystal to Sarin, confirming that the princess cursed Sato. Sarin acknowledges that her evil deeds are ongoing and asks if Akira confronted her. He confirmed he tried to talk, but she didn't communicate well. Sarin warns Akira to avoid the palace that night, explaining that while the princess can curse anyone, she can't curse him since he hasn't revealed his status, meaning she would have him killed instead. When morning comes, Akira awakens to a commotion from the palace. Rushing there, he discovers a crowd gathered and learns that Sato has been freed from his curse. However, the shocking news is that Sarin is dead. Overwhelmed, Akira pushes through the crowd to find Sarin's lifeless body, a dagger in his heart. Devastated at the loss of his only friend, his classmates accuse him of being the killer, painting out that the dagger matches his own. Akira insists it shattered during the fight with the Minotaur, but no one is willing to listen.
They've been calling him shady and untrustworthy ever since they arrived. Akira wonders if they're under the princess's curse, and the way they all blame him seems to confirm his suspicions. Only Soto stands up for him, insisting they need to investigate. However, the king announces Akira's execution for assassinating their beloved commander, ordering his guards to seize him. But Akira uses a skill to conceal his presence and escapes unharmed. As the king sends his troops to search the palace, Akira meets Gil, who reveals that the elite assassination unit killed Sarin under the king's direct orders. The assassination squad is after him too, but Sarin anticipated this and prepared travel supplies in his room. Gil urges Akira to grab the supplies and flee, and Akira thanks the vice commander before rushing to Sarin's room, though he forgets a smaller pouch in his haste. That night, the king remarks how easily Sarin fell and how no one can oppose them now. The princess informs him that the brainwashing of all the students except the hero is complete, and they just need a reason to start a war with neighboring kingdoms. Pleased, the king instructs the princess to send assassins after Akira to ensure he doesn't survive long enough to pose a threat. Meanwhile, Akira hides in the dungeon, recalling Sarin's advice that it's the best place to evade pursuers, though it lacks clean drinking water. The dungeon is also ideal for leveling up, but most shy away due to the dangers. Sarin warned Akira that even his presence-concealing skill won't protect him from high-level monsters with sharp senses. However, if he levels up enough, he can erase his scent and body temperature to deceive nearly anyone. Following Sarin's words, Akira ventures deeper into the dungeon, battling powerful monsters like flamehounds that explode upon death. He remembers Sarin mentioning the special skill everyone receives upon reaching level 100, significantly enhancing their strength. Defeating dungeon bosses is the quickest way to gain experience, but it's a life-or-death battle he can't escape once it begins. Determined to grow strong quickly, Akira enters the boss room where a massive demon lion awaits. The lion immediately attacks, and while he dodges, he's caught off guard by the venomous snake-like tail, getting stabbed by the monster's claw. Realizing he's lucky to be alive, he refuses to give up as the lion flings him away. He decides to unleash his shadow magic, dark spikes piercing the monster and tearing it apart. However, he soon loses control and passes out. A male voice echoes from within him, stating that the master has taken too much damage, prompting the shadow magic to activate forcefully. The shadow moves closer, entering healing mode and using stored mana to mend his injuries. Back in the palace, Soto urges his classmates to defeat the demon lord, but most believe it's not the right time after the knight commander's death. Soto insists they must act now or risk being too late. Many students, still under the curse, dismiss his concerns, leading Soto to declare he will go alone. Fortunately, a few decide to join him, though they're puzzled as to why they would follow him while cursed. The enchanter claims she can differentiate between cursed and normal individuals and assures them everyone present is free from the curse. The tall swordsman Asahi cites credit, vaguely recalling cutting strange crystals in an unknown room. He doesn't remember how he got there or finding a samurai sword, but since then a few students have been freed from the curse. It turns out Gil was responsible. His suggestion skill is more powerful than any curse when it comes to making someone perform a simple action. He's glad to have saved a few students, fulfilling Sarin's last order, and wishes them luck on their journey. Meanwhile, Asahi believes they need to team up with Akira, as he was the only one who knew the truth during their cursed state. He recalls a time in the real world when he found Akira working a part-time job at a railway crossing. Akira had asked him to keep it a secret from his classmates and little sister, and Asahi agreed. They discovered their sisters were best friends, giving them a reason to bond. In the dungeon, Akira awakes, reflecting on his memories and wondering if Asahi is safe. He notices he feels significantly better and checks his status, finding his stats have increased and his HP is fully restored. Surprised that his shadow magic skill has leveled up despite being used only once, he decides to push deeper into the dungeon. He soon reaches the 75th floor, where a slime monster attacks. To his surprise, a beautiful elf emerges from the monster's remains. Confused, Akira uses a skill called World Eye that he hadn't had the chance to use before. As he activates it, he's overwhelmed by horrifying sights and cancels the skill before it can overload him. Just then, the elf girl Amelia wakes up, and Akira asks if she's okay. She assures him she is fine, but Akira is skeptical after seeing her status, which showed her HP was at just 2%. He knows Amelia possesses the World Eye skill too, and she has already used it on him. She calls him by name, asking him where they are, and he explains they're in a dungeon where he's trying to level up. He lectures her about the lack of manners in spying on others' statuses, but she suddenly collapses into his arms. Noticing her fever, he takes her to the 69th floor to recover. Amelia wakes up startled, and Akira advises her to stay hydrated. He offers her porridge, and she questions why he brought her from the 75th floor. He explains it's the nearest floor with a water source, and encourages her to rest. She thanks him for saving her, then reveals she's a princess, though Akira doesn't seem to care much about that. Soon, Amelia fully recovers and joins Akira as he reaches the 80th floor of the dungeon. She uses her gravity magic to assist him in battle, but he's not thrilled about her following him into danger. Amelia insists she's strong enough to take care of herself, leaving Akira with no choice but to accept her company. They enter the boss room, confronting a terrifying dragon ready to attack. The dragon unleashes blue flames, but they manage to dodge. Akira hides his presence, while Amelia uses her gravity magic to pin the dragon down, giving him a chance to strike. However, the dragon senses him despite his invisibility and knocks him away. Amelia warns Akira that the dragon is detecting him through his mana and advises him to blend it with the surrounding mana, but he hasn't learned how to do that yet. So, he decides to fight as he always has, activating shadow magic and launching a dark spike at the dragon, scratching its face and forcing it to change direction. Seizing the moment, he plunges his sword into the dragon's eye, bringing it down, much to Amelia's astonishment at his reckless fighting style. Just as she's about to ask about his powers, the dragon's body begins to glow, transforming into a giant blue cat, leaving both Akira and Amelia utterly confused.
Amelia taps into her World Eye skill and realizes that the cat is a shapeshifter, which explains how he transformed into a dragon. It all clicks for her now. A real dragon would have been far tougher than the cat. Akira watches in awe as Amelia wields her World Eye so effortlessly and questions why he isn't using it himself. Memories of his last attempt flood his mind, nearly splitting his brain apart, and he figures his skill level is too low for proper use. Amelia counters that Akira is simply rejecting the skill, which is why he's struggling. Suddenly, the black cat stirs and starts to speak, expressing his disappointment at being bested by a human and an elf, even after transforming into a dragon for fun. Akira is taken aback by the cat's ability to talk and feels insulted by its demeanor. He asserts that he shouldn't be grouped with other low-level monsters driven by instinct, as he's a being of superior intellect created by the demon lord himself. Akira retorts that it doesn't matter, since the cat won't be able to fight back after the last blow. The black cat shrugs off the idea of dying, insisting he has a message for Akira before his end. With a menacing aura, he informs Akira that the demon lord awaits him in a castle deep within the demon continent of volcanoes. This revelation raises Akira's suspicions. He demands to know how the demon lord knows about him and why he wants him to visit. The black cat cryptically states that the demon lord is beyond Akira's comprehension, so he can't provide more details. He then lies down, urging Akira to end him, but Akira refuses. The cat mocks him for pretending to be cool, claiming it's only natural for him to die since humans see all demons and monsters as enemies. Akira disagrees, believing the real enemy is the king, and he doesn't buy the idea that demons are their foes. Amelia reminds him that the door to the boss room won't open unless they defeat the boss or the boss defeats them. The black cat chimes in, asking if Akira plans to starve to death there. He questions why Akira doesn't want to kill him, to which Akira gives a simple yet surprising answer. He's a cat person, and unlike other monsters, this black cat can talk to him. He believes there must be a loophole to escape the boss room without killing the cat. Amelia recalls another way. If Akira forms a pact with the black cat and accepts him as his familiar, he will no longer be recognized as a boss monster, allowing the door to open. The black cat laughs at this suggestion, saying only a skilled magic user with excellent mana control can perform the ritual, and Akira doesn't have those skills. Amelia disagrees, stating that Akira has already surpassed the necessary limit for the ritual. She reminds the black cat that Akira detached his mana from his body earlier, a feat only the first hero has accomplished. Amelia believes in Akira's ability to perform the ritual, though she's unsure if he'll succeed. When Akira asks what happens if he fails, the black cat grimly states that one of them will die, or worse, they both might perish. Akira is ready to take that risk, leaving the black cat bewildered by his willingness to gamble with his life. The cat insists he doesn't care about dying, but Akira is angered by his indifference. The cat explains that living longer brings him no joy, and Akira resolves to reason with him later. He inquires about how to conduct the ritual, and Amelia reveals that the first step is to give the cat a new name. Akira names him Night, inspired by his beautiful fur that resembles the night sky. The cat shows no reaction, and Akira proceeds to the next step, pouring mana into his paw. Amelia warns there's no turning back once she begins pouring mana, and if she can't control the cat, she could lose her life. Akira remains confident he will succeed. As he pours his mana into the cat's paw, he feels a powerful wave engulf him, realizing this is what resides within the cat. Suddenly, he finds himself plummeting into a burning city. Horrified, he witnesses the chaos, spotting Night rampaging through the streets, killing anyone trying to escape. Akira tries to intervene, but Night retaliates with dark mana, inflicting serious damage. As Akira gets back on his feet, Night urges him to stop hesitating and kill him, claiming it's the only way for Akira to survive. Yet Akira can't bring himself to attack the cat. Night resumes his assault, striking with his powerful claws. The damage Akira sustains in the dream world affects him in the real world, prompting him to finally fight back. He throws his dagger at Night, who easily deflects it and begins charging his dark power for a swift finish. Instead of attacking, Akira charges at Night, allowing himself to be stabbed by the cat's claws. Night is taken aback, asking, "What the hell is he trying to do?" Akira replies that he doesn't want to kill him, knowing that Night doesn't truly want to kill anyone. Night argues that he's a monster, and despite his intelligence, his instincts compel him to kill. Understanding Night is tired of the violence, Akira assures him he doesn't have to fight against his instincts alone anymore. He holds Night's claws, promising to watch over him and prevent any more bloodshed. Gradually, the dream world begins to fade. As Night starts to trust him, he transforms into a normal-sized cat, finding solace in Akira's embrace. The sun rises in the dream world, symbolizing the peace Night feels in Akira's arms. With that, Akira returns from the dream world. Realizing the Pact ritual worked, he touches Night to confirm it. A golden mark appears on the back of his hand, and Night's red mark transforms into gold as well. Amelia explains that this signifies the Pact's success, linking Akira's soul with the cat. Night wakes up and expresses curiosity about how far Akira will go. He accepts Akira as his master and vows his life in service. Amelia introduces herself, and Night acknowledges her respect as master's companion. At that moment, a magic circle appears on the floor, indicating the boss has been defeated, but Akira seems lost in thought. He mentions wanting to move on to the next floor, but Night points out he's wounded. Night assures him that the door will stay open until they choose to use it, so there's no rush. He decides to take some time to recover, and Amelia suggests they use this opportunity to get to know each other better. Night quickly agrees, and Akira is taken aback by the sudden change in his demeanor. Meanwhile, Sadto and his party arrive in a country established by a hero summoned from Earth, and they're astonished to find it resembles historic Japan. Everything feels familiar, allowing them to relax as they discuss their future plans. Stowe emphasizes the need to secure funds, as they're just a month away from being broke and homeless. One member suggests becoming adventurers, which Sadto supports. He then shifts the conversation to gathering information, urging them to find someone knowledgeable about this world and to seek out valuable books. One member hopes for a book that reveals how to return to Earth, but Sod argues that defeating the Demon Lord is their best chance. He believes only the king and princess might know how to send them back, and despite their twisted nature, they'll need to win them over by defeating the Demon Lord. Sod announces that once they gather enough funds and information, they'll head straight to the Demon Continent. However, Asahi disagrees, feeling they should regroup with Akira first, as his instincts tell him he's growing stronger faster than the rest of them.
Some members back Asahi, while others still suspect him of being the Commander Sarin's murderer. This sparks a small argument, but the girls step in to mediate, asking Sato for his opinion, as the leader, to make the final call.
Soto agrees with Asahi, believing that Akira is already stronger than them, but he doubts they can collaborate with him. He mentions that Akira prefers to keep to himself and still doesn't remember him, despite being classmates since kindergarten. Everyone is taken aback by this revelation, and even Asahi concedes that Akira isn't exactly a team player. Soto points out that, according to the legends, only the holy sword wielded by the hero can defeat the demon lord, so he needs to become strong enough to fulfill his role. He fears that even if they find Akira, he won't want to work with them if they seem too weak. Therefore, he decides to stay in the country while they all focus on boosting their strength. Meanwhile, Amelia shares her past with Akira and Knight. She was banished from her homeland by her sister, and her men were intent on killing her. Cornered near a cliff, she used her gravity magic to fall into the river below, which carried her to safety. However, she was injured and exhausted, and a black slime took advantage of her vulnerability, swallowing her whole. The next thing she knew, she was in a dungeon, and Akira had just saved her. Akira is amused by her story, but Knight points out some inconsistencies, noting that slimes don't typically consume people, and if one had eaten Amelia, she would have already been digested by the time she was rescued. Though confused, Amelia is grateful to the slime for bringing her to Akira. He encourages her to return and reconcile with her sister, but Amelia feels defeated and unable to confront her. Akira reassures her that things will work out because they are family. He mentions he has a sister too, and despite her cheekiness, he cares deeply for her. Amelia and Knight ask if he wishes to return to his world to see his family, and Akira confirms he does, but he has unfinished business first. He begins discussing Sarin, the man who taught him how to navigate this world, and his anger flares as he thinks about the people who killed him. He vows to take revenge on the king and princess for Sarin's assassination, causing Amelia and Knight to shudder at his intensity. Amelia calls out his name, snapping him out of his rage. Once he calms down, both Amelia and Knight reveal they know Sarin's name, as he was a renowned knight commander. Realizing the atmosphere is too tense, Akira pulls out his glove, driven by his cat instincts. Knight attempts to catch it, and Akira is pleased to see that his trick, which worked on the strays around his house, also works on Knight. Amelia wants to join in, and soon they are all cuddling with Knight, enjoying the soft, fuzzy texture of his fur. Knight reminds Akira to take things seriously, as their souls are linked, meaning if one dies, the other will too. Akira is aware, but is just happy to have a cat familiar because he adores cats. Amelia admits she feels jealous since she loves cats too. After their playful moment, they decide it's time to leave the dungeon. Akira asks Knight where the teleportation magic circle will take them, but Knight admits he doesn't know. He explains that only a few demons still know how to create magic circles, and Akira resolves to find them and make them work for him once he reaches the demon continent. Suddenly, Amelia remembers a story about pale blue magic circles that lead people to their desired location. If multiple people enter, it reacts only to one person's wishes. Akira notes that this could pose a problem, but Amelia assures him she'll go anywhere as long as she's with him. He brushes off her statement as he steps into the magic circle, wondering if it can take him back to his family, but pushing that thought aside because his quest for vengeance is his priority. With that, the magic circle activates, teleporting the group to a forest where they spot a gigantic tree. Amelia is in shock upon seeing the tree, which Knight recognizes as the World Tree. He informs them they are in the Forest of Elves. While Amelia struggles to believe they've ended up here, Akira thinks it's a fortunate place to be in. Suddenly, an elf hiding in the tree shoots an arrow at Amelia, but Akira notices just in time and pulls her out of harm's way. He then charges at the archer, deflecting his arrow with his dagger and swiftly taking him down. Amelia identifies the archer as Liam, who didn't expect to find the traitor while investigating the light in this area. He warns Amelia to flee if she values her life. Akira knocks him out, uninterested in his chatter, but realizes he was too slow as elves have already surrounded them. Leading the group is Amelia's sister, Kalika, who ominously tells Amelia she will die now that she has returned willingly. And that's where this video wraps up. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.